Hi guys, so we are starting a new series here. Basically the idea of it is I'm going to be speaking to people within sort of my network, either having a coffee, beer, or something like that there, sit down, sort of chat about general different topics. So for those who don't know me, I'm Shane Niblock. I own an award-winning e-commerce business. I also own a £1 million property portfolio, which is again my own properties, and I also work with investors helping to build out theirs. So really what I want to do with this is, like I said, meet people within my network, sort of introduce them to yourselves and sort of have conversations which we sort of have off camera, which I personally find interesting. So hopefully you guys find it interesting. And today we are with my videographer, who is also one of my social media managers, who work with a number of different people throughout the industry around here, and I'll let him introduce him before I talk too much. So Ethan, if you want to just give sort of a short breakdown of who you are, what you've done, and why we're here, basically.
So yes, I'm Ethan. Normally I'm on that side of the camera, so you don't really see this face too often. Yeah, so basically I run my own sort of freelance media production. As you can say media, creative, everyone has different names. Basically how I like to start this off was I just really enjoyed content creation. Okay, so I've always been in that sort of niche without realizing it. And I just like, okay, I can actually make a little bit of a career out of this because one, I absolutely love it. That's the reason I'm doing it night and day, 7 days a week. And I just didn't want to be stuck in the one corner of like just doing photography or videography or just graphic design. Like, unfortunately, I wanted to do everything. Yeah. I remember just sort of starting off, doing a little bit of jobs here and there. And then I remember contacting Shane. We got in touch, let's say
December
last year. Yes. So I just had a brief chat about it. Shane basically came to me and just said he wanted everything that I wanted to offer also. And I was like, this is perfect because one, Shane's getting what he needs, and two, I'm getting that chance to do everything that I sort of want to do. So it wasn't just, I just need an editor or I just need a videographer. It's like, can you do it all? I was like, yeah, I'm your man for it.
Basically what he's saying there is I was lazy, couldn't be bothered doing anything, and tried to outsource it, which is actually true. I could not be bothered learning it, and I know where my skills lie, and it's definitely not there. Yeah, so I think the idea for this here is we're actually going to talk about social media and business. This comes off, I think we were filming a big batch of content maybe 2 weeks ago. We were talking about how businesses, social media is all very different, and how you need to use social media is very different depending on what niche you're in and what your goals are actually trying to do. Again, me being the type of business nerd I am, I find it interesting, and it's again interesting coming from a perspective of me as the business owner, and obviously you seeing a lot more different businesses, seeing a lot more things from behind the screen, and again seeing what people are talking about who maybe don't understand social media as much as I would. So I think that was kind of where this idea kind of sprang from, and I sort of thought it'd be quite good to get on camera. Thought it could be quite interesting again for people to see. So I think really to sort of set the scene from my point of view, we were actually having this discussion just off camera before we started as well, but social media is really new in sort of terms of business, and people understand it. It has come around in most people's business lives, so if it's only been around maybe 20 years, and particularly the new age of social media where you're creating content and stuff like that there is even newer. Like I think we all started off in MySpace and Bebo, which was the good old days. So you started off in that there, and then it sort of progressed to Instagram, and sort of where Instagram was just photos, and now really when TikTok came in, that short form content started to get more popular, and you started to see the rise of YouTube, which was longer form, where people could have a chance to explain themselves a bit more. And then nowadays, YouTube long form still there, but you've got YouTube Shorts, you've got TikTok, you've got Instagram Reels, and then you've got all these other ones starting to come in. I know a lot of businesses, particularly in America, are starting to grow quite a lot on Snapchat, which is always interesting. People understanding where it's coming from is always different. So I think really I would go throw this over to you and sort of just go like, obviously you've got restaurants, you've got me, you've got people in lots of different industries. So where would you sort of see is the big differences and sort of what the big misunderstanding from someone who's behind the camera and who's actually sort of seeing a lot of the stuff, the metrics behind it all as well, which people don't see, they just see the content?
Just obviously with all these varieties I've worked with, yes, they're all sort of different in some sense, but they all have the exact same foundation, which is the social media platforms at the end of the day. But what a lot of people get wrong is even athletes, even like the restaurants or sort of business side of things, people want to get famous quickly. When I say famous, like they want to go viral, they want to start making money right away, like within the first week or two. It's like I said, a lot of guys, if this is the way you're looking at it, you're going to fail first of all, because one, we're going to post out a lot of stuff, we're going to make a lot of content. It's not going to do well. That's just unfortunately how it is. Doesn't matter how good it looks, how well produced it is. It's just the game. But if that's how you're looking at it, you're going to fail. You're going to be disheartened. You're going to throw the head up. You're going to give up. You may be thinking like I might be the issue. You might think you're the issue. We might sort of go different ways, and it's just the same thing. It's just going to keep happening. Whereas a great example, like yourself and myself, we've been working for the last year, and we've both just sort of like said to ourselves, like, this is still the early stage. Yeah. You know, because if you look at where you are now with the social media to when you first started, it's a hell of a lot better, and like it's a lot more consistent. Yeah. That's still like an early stage, because there's still so much to be doing, still so much to learn. I sort of see it like building a house. If you're going to build a house on sand, it might look good for a while, but there's no foundation there. Yeah. It's just going to sink, it's just going to collapse. Whereas what we've been doing, we've been laying that solid foundation for a while. Now you've got that solid foundation. This is where you can maybe start trying little things here, little things there, because it's not going to be so risky, because you've got everything else sort of lined up.
No, 100% agree. And I think sort of going that there, I think this is where we go back to, of where people just don't maybe understand how social media works for their business.
No.
So for example, obviously the two different businesses I run, one is a property investment company, like I said, and one's an e-commerce company, and they're both looking to do very different things. So I've got those two businesses, but then I also have sort of the personal brand which I'm trying to build, which again is looking to do different things. So each one has separate goals, and each one has separate niches. And like I know, for example, even on the personal brand side of things, there's things that are just naturally going to be more popular. So the property side of things, anytime we put up a reel or anything to do with property, it's instantly more popular. Like, and again, that's because the broad spectrum of people are interested in property. Everyone's probably interested in property. But then again, when I'm talking about e-commerce, which is something I absolutely love, it's so much smaller of a niche, so you're just not going to get the same level of viewership. You're not going to get the same level of engagement on it. But actually what ends up happening is that, and I think this goes back to, when you understand those audiences, you understand that actually, hold on, this might be doing really well in this here, but I can't compare it to this because it's a completely different spectrum. It's a completely different sort of animal, beast, whatever way you want to describe it. Who they're trying to target, why they're trying to target them, and even sort of the total addressable market off that sector.
Oh yeah, like even a great example, because I work with Wing It, really well, like established popular brand here in Belfast, specifically with students. Recently I've had maybe 2 or 3 of my sort of clients, or just other guys coming up and asking me like, how come these guys can hit, let's say, 50 to 100k views within videos and posts, and how come we're not? It's like, right, because you've actually talked in a video of this comparison, the FIFA Joy.
Yeah.
So
100%.
They're like, oh, we're not getting the same amount as these guys are getting. One, first of all, these guys are a food chain. You're completely end of the other spectrum. So like, shouldn't even be in the same topic. 2, they're, let's say, I think like probably 80-90% of their audience, sort of clients, well, I wouldn't say clients, but customers is students. So like the students, unfortunately, they're just born in that age of media, like, so they're obviously going to be a lot more popular with the students, a lot more views in that, whereas the likes of your company, your brand, might be a wee bit more tailored towards, let's say, the older folk. For example, Shane doing property, no 17-year-old, 16-year-old's going to come and buy property off you. Like, if they do.
Interesting if they did, but yeah.
Fair play, but do you get me? It's like they're more obliged to go to Wing It and get a meal because it looks cool, and it's cool to be there.
People share their food.
And it's like amongst the students, everyone wants to work there. So you can sort of see like you're trying to compare to this when you shouldn't really. That's where we're talking about previous point. That's when you start getting upset, sort of frustration between both parties, maybe myself and the client, just trying to get that point across, but they don't see it. Yeah. So that's probably one of the big factors that I sort of face working with these higher brands and lower brands. They're seeing that I'm working with them guys, that they automatically think
they're in the same league.
They should be there.
Yeah.
So, and at the end of the day, Wing It, like they've been there for the last sort of 5 years. So it's taken time too. It's
And they
not
built
an
up
overnight
that
thing.
social media native. I think one of the things people miss out on here is they look at somewhere, again, to use Winged as an example, let's say they get, they've got maybe 5,000 followers, more than that there.
Oh no,
How many?
30k.
30k.
30,000,
so if they get
so-
30,000, like that reel's heading out to 30,000, and then obviously that gets shared and pushed out to different people. So like, let's say they get 50,000, that's what, 150% sort of reach in terms of that there, in terms of their followers. But then if you look at somewhere like, again, go back to me, which is obviously very much the opposite end of the spectrum, with my current like 220 odd followers at the minute. If I get a reel that hits 1,000 views, I have 5 times my follower count, which it's reached out. And I think that's what people don't understand as well. Yes, you may have got a much lower sort of overall reach in terms of numbers, but actual percentage wise, you've actually probably outperformed what a lot of people think. And I think that's where sort of people need to dial it back and actually go have a bit of realism in terms of the numbers and what they're looking at, and go, right, actually this has done really well. So if this has done really well, what can we do that's similar to that there, and go from there. So like, that's again what people don't understand is, as well, going back to one of the things we said before, is Winged's customers are social media native, and Winged have done a really good job, and I know you've done this and helped them out on a lot of it, made their brand cool. Made it cool, and that the thing of like, it's very much a social media share thing. So people are going to tag themselves there, people are going to, like, when you go there, people will share it, and like, it's just naturally one of those things that people are, it's food, they're interested in it, and they go.
It's like a status thing for them, those guys. Yes, you might get, let's say, 50 to 100k views on something, but they're coming to buy like a low ticket sort of value off you. So like a meal might be 10 to 20 pound, whereas like yourself, you just need one person to pay big money.
Different.
Get me? So between one person paying, let's say, random numbers, by like 200k compared to 10 people come to buy a meal for 10 to 20 pound.
Yep.
Like, so that's where the social media say, like, needs to not be looked at. You need to look at, okay, what's your service?
What's the back end
what's the
actually
value, and how much are you actually charging for that service?
Yeah. I think that's the thing as well. That even goes back into when sort of the ad side of stuff, of when you look at sort of companies. And so when I've spoken to different companies about this and sort of consulted with them on a bit, that's one of the exact points I make to them, is that, you know, when you're maybe selling something that is £20, like you were saying, you need to sell 10 of them to maybe hit your ROAS targets. But then if you're selling something that's, for example, £200, you only need to sell it once. And it's a massive game difference, and it's a lot more easier to do it. I think even as well, like, understanding the content you're putting out has to be very, very different. So for example, Winged does a really good job is that they can play around, they can be a lot more cool. Like, in some sense, yeah, they show the food, but they don't need to show the food. But if you're going to take, for example, product-based business, which obviously you know Winged is, but let's say sort of a wine company or anything like that there, you actually have to show the product. You have to show the lifestyle of it and sort of that element, but you actually need to show what it is a lot more. And that particularly is also the case of when you're a newer company, and when people maybe don't understand your name and haven't really heard of you, is that when you're coming up, you actually have to show who you are and what you are, instead of maybe showing as much of the lifestyle which different brands can do when they've sort of built up more of the sort of, let's say you're at your 30,000 range in terms of followers. So I think that's, for me, like, again, there's just really, people need to understand sort of that journey of social media. And I think one of the things is, when people are constantly wanting to go viral as well, that causes a big issue, because if you don't have some sort of element or some sort of way to actually keep the people who have followed you from that viral content in, and a way to sort of monetize them in a good way, and way that actually serves them, gets them what they want, it's not going to work. So for example, you have a viral reel, you might get, let's say, and it's happened plenty of time, people get 100,000 followers. If you're then not putting up anything that's actually monetizable, that sort of you can get a lot of money off that there in a good way, or some sort of way to keep those customers in, you're sitting looking at it going like, right, you're just going to lose 20,000 of them in the next week, then you're going to lose another 30,000, and then you're going to lose another 20. So you maybe have only actually gained 10,000 in a month's time, and those 10,000 maybe aren't engaged. So like, it's how you're going to actually, when you hit those viral moments, how you're actually going to keep doing that there, keep those people in. And it's like, viral isn't actually, I think, always a good thing. It's one of the things I've always said to you is, yes, obviously we want to grow and we want to expand our reach, but I want to make sure any of the audience we have brought in, been brought in for the right reasons. They're actually interested in what I'm saying, which sometimes isn't always the case because I tend to talk a lot, as you should probably find out during this video. But you need to have like the people who are engaged into what you're doing and buying into you. And whether that's, I talked about this in another reel, and I've talked about this a couple of times, is that your personal brand, that can also be personal to it. Like if you have customers and you have people like that there, you want to have a connection to it. Like I talked to you about this guy a few times, Ben Morrison of Morrison's Landscapes over in Scotland. Someone I met when I was over in Dubai. Yeah, Scottish guy in Dubai. I don't think he went back there not long ago. Ben, if you're watching this, well, I watched that video. Yeah, it was funny. It's definitely 40-degree heat's not good for anyone, particularly if you're Celtic blood like us. So, but one of the things he does brilliantly is there's Morrison's Lawn and Landscapes, which is his business, and it has a personality, and that personality is very much linked to Ben. But you know as well with his videos and his content what you're getting from it. You know that you're getting a really good quality service. He's very upfront, he's honest, and he knows, people know how passionate he is and how much of good service he does. And it's actually something I've obviously only known him for since December, but it's more, I've looked at his content going like, he has absolutely nailed it for his sort of demographic, which is there, and it's slowly growing and it's growing well, and like, you know, he's built a real community there, and like he's very, very open and honest, and they're all, you can tell like he gets a lot of really positive feedback. He tries to help a lot of people, and he's a good guy, and I think that has that sort of virtuous circle of where it's all starting to work. He gets more followers, he's showing good content, he's also showing that he's helping them out and there's a good service, and it just goes round and round and round in this positive circle for him. And I think that's what a lot of people need to kind of understand, is that that doesn't come overnight either.
No.
You need to sort of think about how you're going to do that, strategize how you're going to do it, and build it from there. And that's why sort of if you don't have that and you do go viral, it doesn't work. And it's human nature then, you want to go viral again.
The viral thing for me, like, personally I wouldn't want to go viral, because this viral thing, if you look at like a graph, it's just like this, and then viral, it's a spike. Okay, well now, you just go back down again. Obviously, unless if you're really smart about it, you're like, okay, I went viral, I'm gonna take this by the absolute horns and I'm gonna start providing value while I have this. But if you just go viral and you start loving all the fame, look at all the amount of comments and likes I got, and you're just waiting every day to see it going up, you're failed before you've even started. It's like just that one day of fame, like we were saying there. What does so well for a lot of people is storytelling. Like, if your brand isn't going well, or if you're not going as far as you thought you would, don't cry about it. Put the camera up, start talking about that. Like, start showing the bad side of these things, like start talking about, even post it, just because people love storytelling, people love those kind of things. Yes, it's all good again having your high produced videos and content, but personally for me, like, I'd rather just see you sitting there and chat, being like, right, this didn't work today, this failed, I spent this much money and it lost it all, you know. So like, show the realities of business. I feel like that's the problem. A lot of people, they're starting to show, I made this amount on this today and this month. It's like
very much flex culture.
What a lot of these brands are doing so well, I feel like now we're starting to go in that sort of mini documentary storytelling kind of phase of social media, and it's like Ben does it. It's not just here's the before and after. It's like, forget about that, here's the middle. Here's everything.
I think even to sort of give a bit more famous example on it is the guys from Represent, George and Michael Heaton. Like, they were doing well, but where they really seemed to explode is when they went on to YouTube. And it's George Heaton himself, really, like, it's when they released the 24/7 brand, and he was actually living the ethos of it, really showing, like, he was sitting doing the marathons, he was sitting doing the triathlons, Hyroxes and all that there, and really actually living the brand, showing it. And like, again, what he was then doing well was, right, this is me, cool guy, doing all this here, but then showing behind the scenes of Represent, showing that there. And people felt like, because they were watching it and they were invested, and he was sort of giving the little sneak peeks here and there of stuff, it just worked.
You feel like you're a part of it, like, in some sense, but like subconsciously you're sitting there and you're like, oh, I'm getting to see these things first before anyone else does. And
Yeah.
You're now invested. You're like, next week you're wondering like, oh, how's the business doing? Like, did we end up actually selling these things? I know I'm saying we, but you know, it's like you've brought the audience.
You know the launch is coming, you know it's here, and like, you want to see it do well. It goes back to, I mentioned him far too much here, but Daniel Priestley, his 1174 method, one of the reasons, one of the ideas he gives behind that is that by the time you've followed that method with an audience and you've spent that amount of time with them, they do know you. They feel like they know you without actually knowing you. It's one of the reasons why he's a big proponent, if you read Key Person of Influence, of writing a book. So if someone has written a book, even if it's 100 pages, 200 pages, like, you know, people might spend 2 hours doing that there, probably longer. They've spent 2 hours with you. They've built up that knowledge of you, particularly if it's coming from the first person you're speaking to them and it's really about you, about what you've done, what you've tried to achieve. People have spent that time, and then they actually become a lot more in favour of you, and they want to see you do well, and particularly if you come across positive in it.
Oh yeah.
So I think that's quite a lot of the things in that. I think it's important to just understand that, going back to one of the points you made earlier, like, and again talking and sort of going to the sort of counter the viral point of it, is that building up an audience over long term, even if you're gaining 1 follower a day, 2 followers a day, like, that builds up, and it's that sort of momentum you kind of want, as if, because then you're making sure you're getting the right audience in and people are getting what they want from it. I think instead of much more going viral, again, I think one of the common points here is making sure that the audience you're pulling in is your right audience.
Yeah, on
People
that
forget.
point too, it's like I connect with so many sort of photographers, videographers, content creation and stuff, so I get to sort of see the way they see it too. What's worked so well for myself in no context media is, from day one, I didn't care. Like, when I say I didn't care, like, I don't mean that way. I mean, when I posted things, I could not care less if I got 0 views, if I got 100 views, 10k views. Like, I just enjoyed putting that stuff out, and I want to go back in a year, 2 years down the line and scroll down and look and be like, huh, remember I done that? Look where it's got me now. It's also built a portfolio too. I was chatting to another photographer a few weeks ago, and he was like, oh, look at this post done really well for me. And I was like, great. And then I went down to all the likes. Every single like was just another photographer or videographer. Yeah. So I sort of said, like,
they're selling to themselves.
Are you trying to sell to your competition, other photographers, or are you trying to sell to clients? Yeah. So it also opened my eyes to all these sort of comments getting. I don't get too excited now, because a lot of it is other creatives just sort of like, oh, class video, well done this. I want to see someone who doesn't even follow me comment. I want to see other people who don't follow me like my stuff and DM me. That's who I'm going to go towards. I don't care if you praise me. Yeah, again, I absolutely appreciate it, but if I'm not trying to sell to you, I'm not trying to get my attention to you. Yeah,
you want the right positive feedback, that's the thing. So I think for me, you know, it goes to, you know, going back to one of the things we were talking about, is sometimes you'll put up, and everyone who's kind of got big talks about this here, sometimes they put posts up which they don't like, or whatever reason they don't think it's good, and it does really well. But see, a lot of the posts which you think's crap and cringe, they're there for less than 24 hours in sort of like the public sphere and social media sphere.
If I go back and delete half of my stuff, I would. But
yeah, which a lot of people do, and which you can do. But this is the thing then, but if you then create a good reel or good content of some sort, that's the thing that sticks around. So your bad stuff, yeah, it's there in your social media, but actually in sort of the public social media sphere, it's there, what, 24, 48 hours max?
If even.
So, yeah, that's the thing. Like, that's kind of one of the things is just post. Like, again, I think the first video I put up, if people look through my content, is me on the beach in Dubai.
Yes, I remember seeing that.
And yeah, that was cringy. And still is cringy, and I still can see my face cringing about it now. Repeated the same words over and over again, wasn't fluent. I think I must have taken about 50 takes off it walking up and down that beach.
You got the ball rolling though, because you just think if you didn't do that, would you be here right now?
No, I don't think I would have, and I think that's one of the things is that a lot of people, and I get it, like the cringe factor's still there for me, even now doing all this, because again, sort of time to think about who actually cares, but that's kind of then the answer I give to sort of at times is just going, right, if I post it, who actually cares? Like, I don't really care about what most people think. There's obviously people's opinions who I do care about and care a lot what I think.
Like we're sitting right here with a camera set up. Everyone walking past, we're not trying to sell these guys. Yeah. You know, so
yeah.
Just get out of that and just focus on what you have here now, because again, it's for your business. everyone else around here, they don't care.
Yeah, no, they don't. So I think we're probably sort of reaching the limit here, probably with people's interest. So we'll probably try to wrap up here shortly. And so I think probably the best way to finish is sort of like from obviously your perspective, and I know we've covered quite a lot here. Is there anything you think is a really good tip which maybe you don't see people talk about too much, which can help them, whether it's some sort of way they can shoot the videos or actually sort of content they should look to be producing?
Honestly, like, we're in the day and age of anyone could create content. Like, I mean, anyone. You do not need fancy equipment. You do not need to be really good at this and that, because how do you get good? First of all, okay, you get good at this stuff by first of all picking up a cheap dirt camera, and you start making these shitty edits or sort of poor quality. It doesn't matter. You have to do these steps to get here eventually. So on it, like the way I sort of started, I picked up a camera that I didn't even own. I just borrowed a camera, and probably the worst lens that anyone could think of. But I didn't cry about it. I just dealt with what I had, and I slowly got there, and it's got me to where I am now. So if one of my advices is just like start creating stuff and getting it out there. As cliche as that is, and everyone says that, but they're saying it for a reason.
And I think you do get better. It's practice over and over and over again. Like anything you're not going to be good at the start. Like it is just repetition. And I think once you're doing that there and you're putting out enough content, people see and you kind of get an idea of what works for you and what doesn't. I think that's kind of where at the start we kind of tested a lot of things, going like what works for me, what do I like, what do I not like. And it's kind of like one of the things we found, there's certain things which makes me feel more comfortable for whatever reason, usually coffee, and we just keep kind of doing that process, keep doing it, yeah. And there will be some things I'll take off, there'll be some things that don't. But yeah, guys, thank you for listening, particularly if you managed to make it this far. It's always really good. Obviously feel free to follow me on Instagram, which is Shane the Buck Biz. We'll flash that up, and please like, comment, subscribe. Also follow Ethan on No Context Media. And yeah, if you're interested and find out more about either of us, feel free to DM us, leave a comment below. And yeah, cheers, appreciate it. On the next one.